Good day, students. Today I'm going to go over space and shape. The first subtopic is area and perimeter. Let's start off with simple shapes. The first shape that I'm going to be looking at is a square. It's a shape that you are quite familiar with. One side is going to be called the length, which means that each side is going to be called the length because in a square, all sides are equal. If I am asked to calculate the perimeter of a square, I use a simple formula where the perimeter is equal to 4 multiplied by the length, which is basically 4 times the length. If I'm asked to calculate the area is simply length multiplied by length, which is equal to length squared. Let's take a simple example. I am given a square with a side length of 4 centimeters. If I am told that this is a square, it means that each side is 4 centimeters. If I'm asked to calculate the perimeter, it's 4 multiplied by the length, which is 4 multiplied by the length, which is 4, which gives me an answer of 16 centimeters. Please take note of the units. Because I'm using centimeters, the answer for the perimeter is equal to centimeters. If I go to calculate the area is equal to length multiplied by length, and in this case it's 4 multiplied by 4, which is equal to 16 centimeters squared. Let's look at the next shape. The next shape is a rectangle. This is the basic shape of a rectangle. That side and that side are equal. This side and that side are equal. They are also parallel, but for now we won't concern ourselves with that. This is called the length, and this I'm calling the width. Some call it the breadth, but for now we are going to call it the width. The perimeter is equal to 2 into length plus the width. Or you can basically start from one side and add up each length. Add up the length plus the width plus the length plus the width. That will give you the perimeter as well. If we are asked to calculate the area is the length multiplied by the width. Let's look at a simple example here. I'm given a rectangle with a length of 9 centimeters and a width of 4 centimeters. The first question requires me to calculate the perimeter. If I'm going to calculate the perimeter, it's 2 into length plus width, or you simply add up all the sides. If I use the formula approach, it's 2 into 9 plus 4, and that gives me an answer of 26 centimeters, which is quite easy. The next question requires me to calculate the area. The area is the length multiplied by the width. And in this case, it is 9 multiplied by 4, which gives me an answer of 36 centimeters squared. Again, quite easy. If I go further, I will come across another shape called a parallelogram or a palm. This shape is sort of a rectangle that is slightly tilted at an angle. If you are required to calculate the perimeter of a parallelogram, obviously you are going to add up each side. If you are asked to calculate the area, given that the length is 7 centimeters, and this is something called the perpendicular height as 3 centimeters. If I'm requested to calculate the area is equal to length multiplied by the perpendicular height. And in this case, it's 7, that's the length. The perpendicular height is this height here that I'm talking about, and that's 3. I end up with 21, and my units will be meters squared. In previous examples, whatever units that you are using, for area, it is always square units. Let's look at another shape, the triangle. The triangle we know is a three-sided figure. When I am dealing with a triangle, not necessarily for now, but you need to understand an equilateral triangle has all three sides which are equal. An isosceles triangle, two sides are equal in length. A scalene triangle has no sides of equal length. And a right angle triangle is a triangle where one vertex creates a 90-degree angle. This is an example of a right angle triangle. This signifies that this is a 90-degree angle. BC is given as 4 meters, AB is given as 3 meters, and AC is given as 5 meters. Question: how do I calculate the area? If I was requested to calculate the perimeter, I'll simply add up all sides. I am now asked to calculate the area, and the area is a simple formula. It's half base multiplied by the perpendicular height. Area is half base multiplied by the perpendicular height. Now it doesn't matter which is the base. BC could be the base or AB could be the base. If I plug the values into the calculator, I'm plugging in half multiplied by the base, which is 4, the perpendicular height, which is 3, and that gives me 6 meters squared. Again, quite easy, quite simple. Like I explained before, if you want to calculate the distance around the shape, you simply add up 4 plus 3 plus 5, and the perimeter is 12 meters. Again, quite a simple example. What about a circle? When I am dealing with a circle, this point in the center is called the center point. Any line drawn from the center to a point on the circumference is known as the radius. From the center to the circumference is known as the radius. A point that is drawn from the circumference through the center to the other side is called the diameter. What I can see here is 2 radius or 2 radii is equal to the diameter. So if I'm given the diameter of a circle, if I divide it by 2, I end up with the radius. A point to note: the perimeter is equal to the circumference. Basically the same understanding, the same concept, but when it comes to a circle, I'm going to be making reference to the circumference. Circumference is given by a simple formula, which is 2 pi r. At level 2 mathematics, you will have to use the value for pi as per your calculator. The area is equal to pi r squared. So it's quite easy for me to calculate the circumference or to calculate the area. Let's look at a simple example. I'm given a circle with a radius of 5 units for now. If I need to calculate the circumference, it's 2 pi multiplied by r. I know r is equal to 5. I get an answer of 31,42 units. If it was centimeters, then this answer will be in centimeters. The area is pi r squared. And in this case, I need to know what is the value for r. R is still 5. So it's pi 5 squared, which basically gives me an answer of 78,54 units squared. Please take note that you could also be given the circumference and you will be required to calculate the value for r. So in this case, r is equal to c over 2 pi. Likewise, you could be given the area and you need to calculate the radius. You go back to the section on manipulation of formula to find out how to do this. Let's look at the second example. The diameter is 16. For now, we don't work with the diameter. We take the diameter, we divide it by 2, and we get the radius. And in this case, the radius is 8 centimeters. I'll follow through with the same concept. Circumference is 2 pi r, 2 pi 8, 50,265 units. If I'm asked to calculate the area, it's pi r squared, pi times 8 squared, which is 201,062 units squared. A simple concept yet again. Let's go to a shape that gives learners a little bit of a hassle. But you need to understand this. This is a regular hexagon. This is basically what a regular hexagon looks like. It has 6 sides, which are of equal length. This hexagon has a dimension given here, which is called W. W is called the smallest width. Please remember that. If you are given the smallest width, to calculate the area, you use the formula √3/2 multiplied by W squared. Or you could be given a hexagon where one of the side lengths are given. If this length is given, you know that each side is the same length. If I'm given the side length, which is L, I use the formula area is equal to 3√3/2 multiplied by L squared. Now watch how simple this becomes. Example 1. I'm given a hexagon with the smallest width of 6 centimeters. To calculate the area, it's √3/2 multiplied by W squared. This will be given to you in your formula sheet for Maths level 2. I simply substitute the value for W, which is 6, and I end up with an answer of 31,177 centimeters squared. Let's look at example number 2. In example number 2, I'm given a hexagon, but this time I'm given the side length, which means the length from here to here, as 6 centimeters. There's no way I can use this formula because this formula speaks about the smallest width. I need to use the formula that has the side length. Again, I simply substitute the value for L. Some smart calculator work, and you end up with 93,531 centimeters squared. Again, quite a simple example. Let's look at a quick example here. It says, Ashley cuts out the following shapes from a rectangular page measuring 30 centimeters by 25 centimeters. That's your 30 centimeters and that's your 25 centimeters. The questions. Determine the area of the triangle. I know this is the triangle. Determine the area of the hexagon. I need to determine the area of the hexagon. Determine the area of the page that remains after the two laminas have been removed, meaning after this shape and this shape has been cut off, what is the area of this yellowish section? Now, in order to do this, I need to first calculate the area of this triangle. I know I have 14 centimeters, I have 16 centimeters. The area of a triangle is half base multiplied by perpendicular height. Area is half base multiplied by perpendicular height, which is half. The base is 14, the height is 16. It doesn't matter which one is the base and the height. You end up with 112 centimeters squared. Next step, determine the area of the hexagon. There's the hexagon here. The area of the hexagon is given by 3√3/2 multiplied by L squared. I use the formula, I substitute L with 6, I end up with 93,531 centimeters squared. The next question, understand this, asks what is the area of the page that remains after that shape and that shape is cut off, which means I need to know what was the area of the shape had there not been these two shapes cut off. And the area of the page is 30 multiplied by 25 because it is a rectangle. And that gives you 750 centimeters squared. The area of the shapes is 112 plus 93. That means that plus that. And the area left over is simply the total area of the page minus the area of the two shapes. And I end up with 544,469 centimeters squared. I thank you.